Imagine this, a kid everyone dismissed, too small, too quiet, too ordinary. While they mocked him, he worked. In the gym, in the books, in the shadows, he built something unstoppable. Effort outran talent because talent didn't grind. This isn't about luck, it's a challenge. Impossible is just noise from those too scared to reshape their world. But you're here because you feel that spark, that ache to rise, to become more. This is the raw truth of the hustle you don't flaunt, the discipline you forge when no one's watching. Success isn't handed out, it's claimed. And it starts with wanting it so fiercely you'd trade air for it. So, stick with us. Hit that like button if this stirs you, subscribe to join the journey, and tap the bell so you never miss what's next. We're unpacking how to outlast, to grow, to stand apart. The quiet fight's about to roar. Your habits shape your future. The person you become is the direct result of the habits you cultivate. Every action, no matter how small, is a brushstroke on the canvas of your identity. What you repeatedly do is what defines you, not your intentions, not your wishes, but your daily behaviors. The habits you nurture in solitude inevitably manifest in the life you present to the world. They reinforce an identity, shaping the way you think, feel, and operate. This reinforcement can propel you toward excellence or chain you to mediocrity. Life is a reflection of the choices you make consistently. If you embrace the difficult path now, your future self will reap the benefits. However, if you always seek comfort and avoid challenge, you might find that ease in the present leads to hardship in the long run. The results you desire, whether in health, wealth, or personal growth, are not immediate. They are delayed echoes of your past actions. Your reality today is simply the sum of yesterday's habits. Think of your life as a river, and your habits as the current shaping its course. If you want to arrive at a different destination, you must adjust that current. The world often judges by outcomes, but those outcomes are only the final step of a much deeper process. Your financial situation is the delayed result of your spending and saving habits. Your physical condition is the accumulation of your exercise and nutrition choices. If you want new results, you must first reshape the behaviors that lead to them. This does not mean you need to overhaul everything at once. Sustainable change begins with small, intentional actions. Instead of overwhelming yourself with the thought of massive transformation, focus on a single meaningful moment. 5 good minutes of focus can shift your entire mindset. 5 minutes of movement can ignite a fitness habit. 5 minutes of kindness can mend a broken relationship. Change is not about waiting for the perfect time. It's about making the most of the moments you have. Your identity is built on your habits. Who you are today is a direct reflection of the habits you practice every single day. Take a moment to evaluate your life. Are you satisfied with where you stand? Do your daily routines align with the vision you have for yourself? The past is unchangeable. Regrets may exist, but they should serve only as lessons, not anchors. The real power lies in what you do moving forward. To create the future you desire, you must first establish 2 key reference points: your current reality and your ultimate destination. Once these are clear, the next step becomes evident: designing habits that bridge the gap between who you are and who you want to become. A year from now, your future self will either thank you or wish you had started today. Imagine you decide that this is the year you will run your first marathon. It's a bold goal, one that requires dedication and persistence. You know you won't achieve it overnight, but you commit to the process. Every morning, you lace up your shoes and go for a run. At first, it's just an action, something you consciously decide to do. But something profound starts to happen. You begin to shift your self-perception. You no longer just see yourself as someone training for a race. You begin to identify as a runner. This transformation doesn't happen in an instant. You haven't crossed the marathon finish line yet, but your habits are already reshaping your identity. Every step, every training session reinforces the belief that you are the kind of person who shows up, who perseveres, who follows through. In the beginning, habits are simply behaviors, but with consistency they mold the way you see yourself. Over time, they don't just reflect your actions, they redefine your identity. At their core, habits are the repeated decisions you make. Every choice you make reinforces a version of yourself. Consistently making wise decisions leads to a stronger, more capable version of you. Making exceptional choices can elevate you to greatness. On the other hand, Poor decisions, made repeatedly, will inevitably shape an outcome you may later regret. Your life is an accumulation of the small, seemingly insignificant choices you make each day. Choose wisely, because every habit is a vote for the person you are becoming. Small improvements lead to massive transformations. The habits you cultivate don't just shape your life, they also influence the people you surround yourself with. Your environment, in turn, reinforces your habits. If you truly want to create lasting change, you must recognize that every shift begins with a decision. The idea of improving by just 1% might seem insignificant in the moment, almost unnoticeable. But compounded over time, those small gains become monumental. If you commit to being just 1% better every single day for an entire year, by the end, you won't just be slightly better. You'll be 37 times stronger, wiser, and more capable than when you started. This level of progress is irreplaceable. There are no hacks, no magic formulas, no overnight transformations that can compete with the power of consistent, incremental improvement. It's a principle that applies to every area of life. Whether it's building a skill, strengthening your mindset, or improving your health, steady, intentional effort outperforms sporadic bursts of motivation every time. True growth isn't about massive leaps. It's about small, deliberate steps that over time redefine what you're capable of. Many people search for the one perfect habit that will unlock success. Some believe it's meditation. Others swear by journaling, waking up at dawn, or following the latest self-improvement trend. While these can be beneficial, none of them guarantee success. You could adopt every productivity hack in the book and still find yourself stuck, frustrated, and stagnant. Why? Because none of those habits matter if they aren't backed by the most powerful habit of all. The single most important habit you can develop is the habit of keeping your word, to yourself and to others. It's the habit of following through on what you say you'll do. When your actions align with your intentions, you build self-trust. Without it, no amount of morning routines or productivity techniques will make a difference. The foundation of true success is not found in trends. It's found in the integrity of your commitments. Master this and everything else will follow. The power of getting serious. If I had to make a guess, I wouldn't bet that your dissatisfaction with life comes from a lack of cold showers or daily affirmations. Those things might have their place, but they're not the root cause of stagnation. If I had to put everything on the line, I'd wager that the real issue is this. You tell yourself one thing and do another. You make promises, set intentions, and declare ambitions. Yet when it comes time to act, hesitation, distraction, or excuses take over. The gap between what you say and what you do is the very thing standing between you and the life you want. It's time to get serious. Not to be rigid, not to strip joy from life, but to take yourself and your potential seriously. Too many people treat their future like a joke, making light of their own ambitions. I know a guy who's constantly cracking jokes about wealth, success, and discipline, and that's exactly how people see him, not as someone who's going places, but as someone who never really tried. He's not rich, he's entertaining, and while humor has its place, it won't build a meaningful life. If that's the path you choose, so be it. But if you want something more, it requires a shift in mindset. To go from ordinary to exceptional, you must commit to two fundamental things. First, you need to get crystal clear on your goals. Where do you want to be in 5 years? In 10? Your future isn't something you stumble into, it's something you design. Without direction, you'll drift, reacting to life instead of shaping it. The second thing you must take seriously is personal development. Success isn't just about external achievements. It's about who you become in the process. If you're not actively growing, refining your skills, and strengthening your mindset, you're falling behind. A decade from now, you will have become someone. The only question is, who? Are you intentionally shaping your future, or are you letting time pass while you remain the same? The truth is, you already know what you want. You even know the habits required to get there. The challenge isn't knowledge, it's action. The real question is whether you're willing to close the gap between your intentions and your execution. Because at the end of the day, you are what you consistently do. Consistency defines your success. The problem isn't that you don't know what to do, it's that you don't do it consistently. You get inspired, fueled by a surge of motivation. Maybe something sparks a fire in you, and for a moment you push harder, move faster, Chase your goals with intensity, but then just as quickly life happens. Distractions creep in, old patterns resurface. You find yourself slipping back into familiar habits, and before you know it, the momentum is gone. The frustrating part: you know you're capable. You've seen glimpses of your potential before. You've had moments of discipline, progress, and success. But without consistency, those moments never add up to lasting change. The truth is, you don't decide who you are just once. You don't even decide it a handful of times. You make that choice every single day, with every single action. Every decision you make is a vote for the person you are becoming. When you wake up early and train, you are choosing to be strong. When you prioritize learning and growth, you are choosing to be wise. But when you waste time, procrastinate, or settle for distractions, you are also making a choice that leads you further from the person you want to become. Each moment presents a crossroads, and the direction you take determines your future. So before every action, ask yourself, who am I choosing to be? When you skip a workout, when you put off starting that project, when you let comfort dictate your choices, who are you shaping yourself into? Your future is not built on big, dramatic decisions. It's built on the small, seemingly insignificant ones you make every single day. If you want a different outcome, you must start making different choices right now. Everything changed for me when I embraced one simple philosophy: work harder on yourself than you do on your job. This shift in mindset transformed my life. If you work hard on your job, you'll make a living, and that's fine. But if you work hard on yourself, on your mindset, your skills, your discipline, you can create a life beyond anything you ever imagined. For years, I put in effort at work, but saw little change in my circumstances. It wasn't until I turned that effort inward, focusing on my own growth, that everything began to shift. Success is something you attract. Let me put it in a way that will stay with you. A truth that could be worth more than any price you've paid to be here today. Success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by becoming the kind of person who deserves it. The more you grow, the more opportunities find their way to you. If you want more than you currently have, you must first become more than you currently are. It's not about luck, and it's not about circumstances. It's about who you choose to become. If you triple your value, if you refine your skills, your mindset, your discipline, then multiplying your results, whether in wealth, impact, or fulfillment, becomes inevitable. But this only happens when you make the decision to work harder on yourself than on anything else. Success is built in the quiet moments, in the unseen hours, in the small deliberate habits that seem insignificant today but define everything in the long run. Showing up consistently, improving just a little bit each day, practicing discipline even when no one is watching, these are the real foundations of greatness. The work you put in behind closed doors, in the moments when it feels like no one cares or notices, will be the very thing that sets you apart when it's time for results. What you refine in private, you will be rewarded for in public. Every habit you cultivate either pushes you forward or holds you back. Many of the things that bring temporary comfort, skipping the hard work, indulging in distractions, avoiding discomfort, may feel good in the moment but quietly sabotage your future. On the other hand, the choices that demand effort, waking up early, prioritizing health, consistently learning and growing, are the very ones that shape a life of purpose. Take early mornings as an example. When it's dark and cold, getting out of bed feels like the hardest thing in the world. But for many, those first quiet hours of the day are when the most meaningful work happens. The world is asleep, and for a brief moment, you have uninterrupted time to invest in yourself. The only real shortcut in life is to never miss a day. Why? First, because of the power of compounding. Every small, consistent action builds on itself, growing into something far greater than the sum of its parts. And second, because persistence increases your chances of luck. Every day you show up, you create one more opportunity for the breakthrough moment, the lucky break, the unexpected opportunity. People fail to realize this. They think luck is random, but luck favors those who never stop showing up. And if you don't show up, you might miss the very day when everything changes. Stop doing average if you want more. If you never skip a day, if you always put in the effort, if you show up on time, stay disciplined, and push yourself to improve in every way, what happens? You rise, you separate yourself, and eventually you look around and wonder why others aren't doing the same. You'll ask yourself, why didn't they try harder? Why didn't they make better choices? Because the truth is, the higher you climb, the more you'll realize how few people are actually willing to put in the work. And that realization will change you. It might make you frustrated, even elitist, because you'll see so many people stuck not because they have no options, but because they refuse to take the necessary steps. The reality is simple. If you don't want to be average, stop behaving like everyone else. If you want a different outcome, you need different inputs. You can't expect extraordinary results from ordinary habits. Want financial success? Learn high-value skills and apply them relentlessly. Want a stronger body? Get in the gym and train consistently. Want better relationships? Get out there and connect with people who challenge and inspire you. Your actions must align with your ambitions. Anything less is just wishful thinking. But here's the problem. Too many people claim they want change, yet they do the same things every day. They chase easy solutions, hoping for some secret shortcut. They scroll endlessly, jumping from one influencer to the next, waiting for that one magic formula that will transform their lives with minimal effort. They dream of making thousands from their laptop while doing nothing, of attracting success without ever stepping outside their comfort zone. But that's not how the real world works. If your view of success is built on the illusion of easy gains, then your entire perception of reality is broken. The truth remains unchanged. Change your actions or nothing changes. No amount of wishing, planning, or waiting will replace consistent effort. And when it comes to building habits, there's one rule you should live by. A missed habit once is a mistake. A missed habit twice is the beginning of a new habit. Never let yourself skip 2 days in a row, because that second day isn't just a break, it's the start of a downward spiral. Stay locked in, stay disciplined, and watch how consistency transforms everything. The universe rewards effort. The universe is an abundant place, ready to hand you whatever you're willing to reach for. It doesn't play favorites or withhold its gifts. It simply responds to the energy you put into it. I've never witnessed someone pour their entire soul into a pursuit and come up empty-handed. The only ones left wanting are those who sit back, expecting life to deliver without lifting a finger. Take something as simple as mastering a skill, say, learning to play the guitar. I've never seen a person commit to practicing every day with unrelenting focus and fail to strum a tune eventually. This isn't about luck or talent, it's about resolve. The people who don't have what they desire aren't cursed or incapable, they're just unwilling to do the work. They convince themselves the game is rigged, that they're not smart enough, not connected enough, not good enough. But that's a story they tell themselves to avoid the mirror. You're not lacking in potential, you're lacking in persistence. The universe doesn't care about your excuses, it only mirrors what you give it. Think about the dreams you've let slip through your fingers. Maybe it's a career you've always wanted, a relationship you've longed for, or a version of yourself you've imagined in fleeting moments of clarity. That prize isn't out of reach because you're unworthy. It's still waiting because you haven't claimed it. The moment you decide to chase it with everything you've got, the universe starts conspiring to make it yours. It's not magic, it's momentum. You're not a fool for wanting more, nor are you powerless to make it happen. The only thing standing between you and what's possible is the effort you're unwilling to give. Laziness cloaks itself as humility, and arrogance disguises itself as realism. But both are just fear in different costumes. Strip them away, and you'll see the truth. Everything you've ever wanted is yours for the taking if you're brave enough to work for it. Habits shape your destiny. We often fixate on the end game, the bigger paycheck, the higher grade, the slimmer waistline, believing those are the prizes that define us. But those are just shadows cast by something deeper. What truly needs to shift isn't the outcome, it's the daily rituals that carve the path to it. When you entered this world, your mind was a blank slate, unburdened by limits or labels. Everything you now believe about yourself, who you are, what you're capable of, came from the patterns you've repeated until they became your truth. The real battle lies in consistency, a muscle most people can't flex long enough to see results. It's heartbreaking how close they get, teetering on the edge of transformation, only to pull back at the last second. I've heard stories of people committing to 1,000 days of showing up for themselves, day after day, chasing a breakthrough. They're not superhuman. They've just cracked the code. Small, steady steps compound into something unstoppable. But too many of us trip over our own shadows, sabotaging progress right when it's within reach. A habit isn't just a routine, It's a script your body learns to run without your mind's permission. When you've done something so often that it's second nature, your subconscious takes the wheel. Think about it. Tying your shoes, brushing your teeth, even the way you slump into a chair, it's all automatic. The catch is, this wiring doesn't discriminate. The same mechanism that locks in tying a knot can lock in a belief that you're not enough. To rewrite the script, you've got to dismantle the habit of being the old you. That means shaking up the thoughts you think, the choices you make, the actions you take. If you keep replaying the same mental loops, picking the same comfortable ruts and leaning into the same familiar feelings, your biology adapts. It hardens into a mold. Your body becomes a museum of your past, preserving every choice in its cells. Breaking free isn't about willing a new result. It's about interrupting the cycle long enough to let a new version of you take root. Change the input, and the output has no choice but to follow. Courage in the storm. True bravery doesn't shine in the spotlight of easy days. It reveals itself in the wreckage of your worst ones. They call it 4 a.m. courage, that raw, unyielding grit that surfaces when life unravels completely. Picture it. Your biggest opportunity collapses. Your rent's overdue, your body's exhausted, your car won't start, and everyone's turned their back on you. That's the crucible where the real you steps forward, the one who dusts off the debris and declares, "This won't break me." It's not about avoiding the fall, it's about rising when everything's in pieces. The greatest gift you can forge within yourself is the resolve to be unstoppable. It's a quiet vow you make, no matter the chaos, no matter the weight. Nothing will derail your path. Life will hurl obstacles, some small, some monstrous, but an unshakable spirit turns them into stepping stones. It's not about never feeling the sting of failure. It's about refusing to let it define your next move. Quitting isn't an option when you've decided your will is stronger than your circumstances. But it's not just about pushing forward. It's about enduring. Can you stay steady when the finish line keeps retreating? Can you outlast the doubt, the setbacks, the silence of progress? Your habits aren't just tasks, they're the scaffolding of who you're becoming. Every time you straighten your sheets, you're not just tidying, you're claiming the identity of someone who commands order. Every lap you run, every word you write, you're casting a vote for the person you're building, brick by deliberate brick. These actions stack up, forming a foundation your beliefs can stand on. It's not wishful thinking, it's evidence you create. After weeks of showing up, you look back and realize, I've been at this consistently. I'm not just dreaming of being disciplined, I am disciplined. Habits don't just shape your day, they sculpt your identity. When the storms hit, and they will, you'll find the courage to stand tall, not because you're fearless, but because you've proven to yourself who you are. The power of discipline. Overmotivation habits do more than polish the surface of your life. They carve the core of who you see in the mirror. Sure, they deliver the tangible wins. A tidy space, a fatter wallet, a stronger body. But their real magic lies in the quiet revolution they spark inside you. Every time you follow through, you're not just checking a box. You're rewriting the story you tell yourself about who you are. That's the hidden gold of consistency. It doesn't just build results, it builds belief. Progress demands motion, no matter the pace. When the wind's at your back, soar. When it's gone, stride. When your legs give out, shuffle. When you're down to your knees, crawl but never stop. The direction matters more than the speed. Stagnation is the enemy of growth, and every step, however small, is a rebellion against it. You're not racing anyone else. You're proving to yourself that you can keep going even when the odds stack high. Search motivation online and you'll drown in over 4 billion hits. Everyone's chasing that spark to ignite their fire. Self-discipline pulls half that, yet it's the quieter force that truly moves mountains. Motivation is a fickle muse. It sweeps in when the mood's right, making beginnings feel effortless. We lean on it, hoping it'll carry us through the grind. But here's the catch. It fades. Life doesn't wait for you to feel inspired, and the things that matter, sleep, nutrition, exercise, don't bend to your emotions. Discipline, though, is the steady hand when motivation bails. It's not about feeling good. It's about doing good, even when you'd rather not. Motivation might kickstart your engine, but discipline keeps it running through the mud, the rain, the dark. Real life isn't a highlight reel of peak moments. It's a marathon of unglamorous choices. The secret to mastering it isn't waiting for a surge of energy. It's training yourself to act when the tank's empty. That's how you build a life that lasts. Embracing the challenge of the impossible. Impossible is a hollow taunt, a word puffed up by those too timid to test their own strength. It's not a wall. It's a whisper, daring you to push past it. When you decide to take it on, half measures won't do. You've got to dive in with every ounce of yourself or not bother stepping up at all. The universe doesn't reward dabblers. It bows to those who burn for what they chase. Impossible isn't a truth etched in stone. It's a challenge etched in sand, waiting for you to redraw the lines. Your beliefs aren't fixed. They're echoes of the world you grew up in, molded by the stories you've been told and the ones you've told yourself. Imagine being raised in a different corner of the globe, under a different faith, in a different home. Your entire sense of self could shift. How does that inner narrative take root? It's the drumbeat of repetition, the habits you lean into day after day. They don't just shape your routine, they solidify who you think you are, sometimes lifting you up, sometimes chaining you down. Life doesn't ask permission before it strikes. Loss will come, parents fade, love crumbles, health falters, and you can't dodge it. That unchosen suffering is the tax we all pay for being alive. But here's the twist. You can steel yourself for it with chosen suffering. Push your mind and body through the fire of deliberate struggle, grueling workouts, sleepless nights of work, moments of raw discipline, and you forge something unbreakable. It's not about avoiding pain, it's about training yourself to face it head on. When you embrace the grind, you build mental armor. Tell your mind, we suffer daily and we thrive in it. Make discomfort your ally. Lift the heavier weight, write the extra page, wake before dawn. Then when the inevitable storms hit, you're not a leaf in the wind, you're a rock in the tide. It'll still hurt, no question, but you'll stand taller because you've already walked through your own gauntlet. Fragility comes from dodging the hard stuff. Resilience comes from choosing it. The warrior's resolve. A warrior's mind isn't wired like the rest. It's forged in a fire most never dare to touch. Imagine standing at a threshold, hand on the knob, whispering to yourself, if this is the end, I'm ready. That's not recklessness. It's a surrender to purpose so deep it drowns out fear. I've seen it time and again. People claw their way toward a dream, inches from the prize, only to collapse under the weight of waiting. They tire not because the goal's too far, but because they crave a sign, some external nod that they're on the right path. They scour the horizon for proof. My bank balance hasn't budged, they groan. The scale hasn't tipped, the sales haven't spiked, the world hasn't noticed. Or they lean on others, hungry for a pat on the back. My partner still doubts me. My family thinks I'm lost. My friends roll their eyes. That need for validation grinds them down because they don't get it. The cheering section doesn't show up until the finish line's crossed. Knowing that up front strips away the sting of silence. Faith isn't the default for most. It's earned through evidence. People don't rally behind a vision, they salute a victory. They'll wait for your win before they believe, and that's fine. You're not here to convince them. You're here to prove it to yourself. The warrior doesn't beg for applause or pause for permission. You'll have to stand alone in the dark stretch before dawn, trusting the work when the results haven't bloomed yet. That's where the real test lives, in the quiet, unglamorous grind. I'll do good no matter what. That's the oath that defines you. Life can pile on pain, unfair, unasked for, unrelenting, and still you choose to rise. It's not about dodging the blows, it's about rejecting the victim's cloak they try to drape over you. Suffering will come, deserved or not, and innocence won't shield you from it. But you can shield yourself with this, an ironclad vow to keep pushing, to keep giving, to keep believing. That's the warrior's heart, unbowed, unbroken, unstoppable. Discipline as the gateway to transformation. Discipline isn't about riding a wave of enthusiasm. It's about moving forward when every fiber of you wants to stay still. It's knowing the task ahead will sting, that the first step will feel like wading through mud, yet pushing through anyway, because the reward waits on the other side. Take sleep. Dragging yourself to bed early is a fight, but when you wake sharp and alive, the day bends to your will. Or exercise. Lacing up your shoes feels like a chore, but once the sweat dries, you stand taller, buzzing with clarity and strength. Eating clean? It's a slog to skip the junk, but the payoff, vibrant energy, a body you're proud of, makes you wonder why you ever settled for less. We need to train ourselves to lean into the hard stuff, to build a framework for tackling what scares us. Those grueling choices, early nights, sore muscles, passing on the donut, are the levers that pry open a better life. I tell people all the time, hard things, easy life, easy things, hard life. The grind carves a path to freedom, coasting digs a hole of regret. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Every time you choose the tougher road, you're stacking bricks for a foundation that can weather anything. The shift starts with a single, quiet decision. You're done feeling stuck, done with the same tired thoughts, done with a life that's flatlining. You don't need a grand epiphany, just a spark of resolve. Maybe you're bruised from setbacks, shadowed by doubt, or dragging a suitcase of mistakes. That's fine. You don't have to erase the past to claim the future. All it takes is a moment where you say, I've got time left and I'm damn well going to use it. I want to feel alive. I want to respect myself. I want joy. That wanting, it's enough to start. You don't even need to feel worthy yet. The belief can grow later. What matters is the hunger for something more. Then step into it. Act like the person who already has what you're after. Want confidence? Move like you own it. Want energy? Fuel yourself like it's already yours. Want peace? Build the habits that breed it. Discipline bridges the gap between where you are and where you long to be, not by wishing, but by doing. Start now, and let the results catch up. Facing the hard before it finds you. If you rise each morning and hunt down the tough tasks, the ones that make your pulse quicken, before they ambush you, the rest of your day bends to your control. Dodge them, and you're just postponing the inevitable. Life's funny that way. The longer you sidestep what's difficult, the louder it bangs on your door later. I've learned this the hard way. When those uninvited challenges crash in, they hit harder if you're not already seasoned by struggle. Greeting the day with a preemptive strike against the tough stuff builds a buffer for whatever else comes. Our brains trick us here. That primal amygdala whispers, stay safe, steer clear, convincing us avoidance is protection. But it's a lie. It's not safety, it's stagnation. When we shrink from what scares us, we don't escape fear, we feed it. The counterintuitive truth is that running toward the hard stuff, lifting the heavier weight, having the raw conversation, tackling the daunting project, shrinks those shadows. Avoidance keeps you fragile. Confrontation makes you fierce. I had to drill this into myself. Mel, you've poured in the sweat. There's no way it's for nothing. This grind is priming you for something epic that's still out of sight. Keep moving. I'd chant it like a lifeline when my resolve wobbled, when self-doubt crept in, when I wanted to curl up and quit, over and over. No, I refuse to believe this effort won't pay off. Something big is coming. It wasn't blind optimism. It was a defiance against despair, a bet on my own tenacity. You've got to talk yourself through the muck sometimes, because the reward isn't always visible yet. That mindset, trusting the work when the winds are still hiding, forges a backbone of grit. It's the fuel you need when life throws a punch, when disappointment stings, when the weight feels unbearable. Struggling? Double down, not back off. The voice urging you to stop is a coward, ignore it. Push into the discomfort and it loses its grip. Every time you conquer what you dread, it gets lighter. Not because it changes, but because you do. The hard doesn't vanish. You just get better at carrying it. The freedom of discipline and the pursuit of greatness. As we stretch toward our potential, we don't just improve, we transform. Each hard-won step builds a quiet confidence, a trust in our ability to handle life's curveballs. Self-esteem blooms, self-discipline hardens, and we start to see what we're truly made of. This isn't wisdom you can borrow from a page or a podcast. It's a fire you stoke through daily practice. What you hone in the shadows, alone with your effort, is what the world eventually applauds. The private grind carves the public triumph. Discipline is the key to liberty. Without it, you're tethered to whims. Every fleeting mood, every impulsive craving owns you. I've sworn to myself, I'll never quit. To welcome the new, you've got to release the old. Let go of the familiar, the comfortable, the stale. It's like a cup brimmed with yesterday's tea. Tip it out, start fresh. It's not simple shedding what you've clung to, but it's the only way to unblock the flow. Renewal demands a clean slate, and that takes guts. Someone somewhere is outworking you right now. That thought gnaws at me. There's a faceless figure skipping sleep, shrugging off comfort, relentless in their chase to be the best. We all have that rival out there, a shadow pushing harder than we are. But here's the shift. Don't let them haunt you. Become the one who haunts them. Put your name and face on that spectre. Work so fiercely that when others picture their benchmark, they see you. Get inside their heads by outpacing their hustle. When the urge to fold hits, and it will, anchor yourself in the sacrifices you've already made. The late nights, the missed pleasures, the sweat-soaked days, those aren't losses, they're investments. Stay hard. Quit broadcasting your plans. Your vision doesn't need a megaphone. People don't care about your intentions. They'll notice your results. You don't need their nods or cheers. This is your fight, your mark to leave. Silence the chatter and just go. The first step's yours to take, and once you're in motion, looking back won't even cross your mind. The quiet grind and the hunger for exceptional. There was a kid nobody bet on. Too slight, too reserved, too plain to stand out. While others smirked, he toiled. In the weight room, nose buried in books, alone in the dim hours, he carved his path. He grasped a simple law. Effort outshines raw ability when ability slacks off. Years down the line, jaws dropped, and they begged for his secret. He just grinned, because the real story unfolded where their eyes never lingered. It's the silent sweat that roars the loudest when the curtain lifts. Impossible is a bloated excuse tossed around by those too scared to rewrite their script. It's not a brick wall, it's a flimsy opinion, a taunt egging you on. Success isn't a casual wish, it's a primal need, as urgent as your next breath. When you crave it that fiercely, when it consumes you so fully you skip meals without noticing, that's when it cracks open for you. It's not about talent or luck, it's about a hunger so deep it rewires your core. The world bends to those who want it bad enough to chase it relentlessly. Change doesn't wait for flawless timing. You've got to lunge for it, messy and raw. Action trumps perfection every time. Pain's not your enemy. It's your compass, flagging where you've got to move. It's the nudge that says, standing out means stepping apart. Exceptional isn't a cozy club, it's a solitary climb. Fitting in smothers your soul with a quiet ache, a betrayal of your true shape. Standing out stirs the pot, draws stares, but that friction is the price of growth. You can't have both? Choose your discomfort. When your crew mutters, "You're different now," don't flinch, they're just fumbling for, "You've leveled up," in a language they don't speak yet. Growth looks like change to those still rooted in yesterday. And here's a gem to clutch tight straight from James Clear. Skip a habit once, it's a slip. Miss it twice and you're sowing a new pattern. Never let 2 days slide. That's the line between a stumble and a surrender. Stay vigilant. Your future self is watching.